Good day, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to click subscribe and ring the bell button to receive some notifications. So for today, I am going to present to you the basic education research agenda. How to prepare our research or action research. So, by the way, I am ADI Casing, currently taking up my PhD and dissertation writing at the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines, Cagayan de Oro City. I am currently connected from the Diplahan National High School, Diplahan Zamboanga Sibugay, whom my principal is Sir Salvador D. Arquelita, and our school's division superintendent is Dr. Jeneline Aliman. So we have basic education research agenda. So in this action research, we are going to find some research questions and research themes. So what are to be included, the things that we are going to follow. So we can have teaching and learning, human resource development, child protection, and we have the governance. So for the overview of presentation, we have the rationale and background, we have the objectives, the guiding principles, the conceptual framework, research themes and research questions, research dissemination, and utilization. So for the rationale and background, we have our DepEd mission and vision, the Republic Act 9155, the Basic Education Governance Act of 2001, we have the DO or DepEd Order number 13 series of 2015, the policy development process in DepEd, and we have the DepEd Order number 43 series of 2015 and the DepEd Order number 4 series of 2016, which is all about the Basic Education Research Fund or the BERF guidelines. So we have the research agenda 6 to we have our objectives, build on gains from existing research, generate new knowledge on less explored but priority fields of basic education, systematically focus the DepEd's attention to relevant education issues, and maximize available resources for research within and outside the department. So the process of drafting the research agenda, we have here the problem analysis and the synthesis of outputs. For the problem analysis, it is facilitated by World Bank consultants using previous DepEd orders and current programs and policies. For the synthesis of outputs, we have the PRDPS with partners from WB, DFAT, BEST or the BEST, RCTQ, and ACTRC synthesize the results of the problem analysis. So what do you mean by PRDPS? PRD meaning Policy Research and Development Division. PS is Planning Service with partners from the World Bank, the WB, and the DFAT or the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The BEST means Basic Education Sector Transformation. It is the Australian supported education program under which a number of the center's activities were funded since 2014. So we have also the RCTQ. RCTQ means Research Center for Teacher Quality. Just recently, it is supported bill amending TSC or the Teacher Education Council of 1994 law filed in Senate dated October 23, 2020. So this RCTQ is already supported bill amending tech. The proponent for this is Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. ACTRC means Assessment Curriculum and Technology Research Center. So synthesize the results of the problem analysis. Turn this into research questions and categorize into themes. So the process of drafting the research agenda, first we have the consultation, we have the problem analysis, we have the synthesis of outputs, we have consultation and validation. So two consultations and validations were made. The first, we have the field personnel from RO, the regional office, DO, the division office, and schools. And second, the CO personnel or the central office personnel. For the presentation and approval, presentation to and final vetting by the ProgCom and ExecCom prior to approval and release. So the guiding principles in the conduct of research, we have three: excellence, integrity, and openness. When we say excellence, it is relevant and researchable. It is appropriate research methods. It deals with logical, coherent, and evidence-based findings. For integrity, we have high ethical standards, honest and accurate in the collection, analysis, and reporting of data. For openness, we have collaborative research work, multidisciplinary perspectives, truthful and timely dissemination of research results. So the conceptual framework, again, is based on the vision, mission, target outcomes, DepEd's actions, and research agenda. So for the vision, we dream of Filipinos who passionately love their country and whose values and competencies enable them to realize their full potential and contribute meaningfully to building the nation. As a learner-centered public institution, the Department of Education continuously improves itself, better serve its stakeholders. So we have also the mission of the DepEd to protect and promote the right of every Filipino to quality, equitable, culture-based, and complete basic education, where students learn in a child-friendly, gender-sensitive, safe, and motivating environment. Teachers facilitate learning and constantly nurture every learner. Administrators and staff, as stewards of the institution, ensure an enabling and supportive environment for effective learning to happen. Family, community, and other stakeholders are actively engaged and share responsibility for developing lifelong learners. So it means for our target outcomes, every Filipino has access to complete basic education. Complete basic education is quality education, effective, transparent, and engaging governance of basic education. So the actions for the DepEd are the following: evidence-based policies, plans, programs, projects, and activities. We have here the BERA, or the Basic Education Research Agenda. So in our action research, we are going to prepare some of the themes related to BERA, or the Basic Education Research Agenda. First, we have teaching and learning, child protection, human resource development, governance. So you can choose which of these agenda that you are going to follow in your action research. And we have also other cross-cutting themes. We have disaster risk reduction management. If you are interested to make an action research for DRRM, it is also good. We have also inclusive education and gender and development, or the GAD. So basic education research agenda for research themes in our or in your action research, we have the teaching and learning, child protection, human resource development, and governance. So let's proceed with teaching and learning. So what are the themes or related to teaching and learning if you are going to do with the action research? First, we have instruction. So you can make an action research how to develop an instruction or strategy in teaching. We have the curriculum, learners, assessment, learning outcomes. So let's begin with instruction. Instruction is the strategies to enhance teaching and learning of K-12 curriculum to hone well-rounded learners. So the questions for these themes are the following. So if you will make an action research, what factors affect teachers' delivery of the curriculum? Another question, what teaching and learning strategies can teachers apply to ensure inclusive and learner-centered education? So let's now proceed to curriculum. When we say curriculum, it is the implementation and responsiveness of curriculum of the various subjects. So how is the curriculum able to contribute in achieving the learning outcomes? So these are the questions that you are going to follow or to have the reference. How is the curriculum responsive and relevant to learners? For the learners, it focuses on the factors within the learner's extent environment that can affect learning outcomes. So what are the factors affecting learning behaviors of a student? Because nowadays our students have different learning behaviors. So what are the factors affecting learning behaviors of a student? Then what contributes to the values formation of a learner? What makes a well-rounded, happy, and smart learner? So these are the questions for the research questions related to learners. For the assessment, it further studies on various forms of assessment in the basic education system. We have here the research questions. What factors affect the implementation of classroom assessment? How is assessment conducted and utilized in the Philippine education system? How effective is recognition of prior learning or the RPL in determining students to special programs? Examples, we have ADMs or the alternative delivery modes. We have the ALS, alternative learning system. For the learning outcomes, focus on what drives achievement of learning outcomes against various factors. We have the research questions. What factors affect the achievement of learning outcomes? How does the achievement of expected learning outcomes vary per region and or division? So let's now proceed to the second theme is the child protection. So most of the researchers also deal with child protection action research. What is child protection? It is in-depth studies on child protection concerns such as bullying, teenage pregnancy, child abuse, addiction, media consumption, and etc. It is prevalence, effectiveness of previous interventions, potential of new approaches to protect learners. So these are how can DepEd best address child protection concerns? We have our child protection concern, bullying, teenage pregnancy, child abuse, addiction, media consumption. For the topics to consider or to be considered in this research, the history of problem, the prevalence, factors contributing to the problem, vulnerable segments like gender, location, economic status, the PWD or persons with disability, the CICL or the child in conflict with the law, we have the CAR and etc. You can also have the topics about effects, the physical, mental, emotional, social, and others. Policies, programs, interventions about safety or child protection, implementation of policies, programs, interventions, learning interventions, partnerships, M&E of intervention. Okay, so let's now proceed to human resource development. For the human resource development, we have teaching and non-teaching qualifications and hiring. You can do research about this for career development and employee welfare. So let's now have some of the research questions related to human resource development. For teaching and non-teaching qualifications and hiring, studies on existing personnel qualifications and competency requirements vis-a-vis the needs of the K-12 and special education programs. So we have here the questions or research questions to be considered. How effective is the professional development of framework in the delivery of the K-12 curriculum or K-12 curriculum? What qualifications and competencies are required for teaching in an inclusive learning environment? So these are questions for teaching and non-teaching qualifications and hiring. Another one, how can pre-service teacher education be improved to develop teachers who can effectively deliver the K-12 curriculum? What qualifications and competencies are required of non-teaching staff to support the effective delivery of the K-12 curriculum? And we have what are the issues and challenges in hiring public school teachers and how can this be addressed? For the career development, it examines various dimensions and determinants of professional growth of DepEd personnel. We have here the question, how can selection, retention, assessment, development, promotion, and recognition be enhanced to support DepEd employees in different career stages in support of the implementation of the K-12 program? Another question, what kind of capacity building activities are necessary and most effective in addressing development needs and improving the work performance of teachers and other DepEd personnel? So those are the questions for research questions regarding career development. For employee welfare, nature and effectiveness of existing employee incentives and welfare support. So we have also to look at some welfare of the employee or employees. We have some related questions for our research. What mechanisms are the most appropriate to promote the welfare of all DepEd employees? What motivates teaching and non-teaching staff to sustain commitment and passion to high quality teaching, learning, and work performance? Let's now proceed to governance. For the governance, especially if you are the school head or the principal or some administrators, you can have an action research about governance. For planning, you can choose planning, finance, program management, transparency and accountability, or evaluation. For planning, efficiency and effectiveness of DepEd standards and planning processes. We have research questions, samples. How can DepEd effectively and efficiently determine its requirements for critical education resources for schools, community learning centers, and other delivery units? Another question, how can DepEd improve its planning process across levels? For finance, efficiency and effectiveness of finance processes, practices, and standards. So we have some sample research questions. How can DepEd improve its process in the sourcing, acquisition, disbursement, recording, and reporting program and project funds consistent with applicable laws, policies, rules, and regulations, or the LPRR? Another research question, how does financial performance affect key stakeholders in DepEd? For your action research regarding program management, it focuses on how to best develop, implement, monitor, and evaluate programs, projects, and activities. These are some of the research questions. How effective is DepEd's overall program management system? How can we maximize external partnerships locally and abroad to facilitate the delivery of basic education services? Let's now proceed to transparency and accountability. It is effectiveness of transparency initiatives in all governance levels. We have some sample research questions. What factors affect transparency and accountability in DepEd operations? How effective are DepEd's internal business processes in allowing the public to monitor and document performance of the organization? Another one, how can schools effectively respond to grievances from teachers, learners, parents, and the community? Then we have the evaluation. Evaluation of DepEd programs, improvement of evaluation processes of DepEd. How effective have DepEd policies, programs, and projects been in meeting their stated objectives? What are the unintended consequences? How can DepEd maximize the benefits gained from the evaluation outputs from within and outside the department? Another question, how can DepEd improve its evaluation process? So I hope you have learned about some research questions and research themes in choosing our action research problem or topics. For the cross-cutting themes, you can also search or research about disaster risk reduction and management or DRRM and the gender and development and inclusive education. For DRRM, we have research questions will focus on the following: prevention and mitigation, preparedness, response, rehabilitation, and recovery. So nowadays, DRRM is very important, especially for our climate, some of the typhoons, earthquakes, and other some problems related to this. You can search that will benefit to our division or our school to become prepared and responsive. For the GAD or gender and development, research questions under gender and development may delve into gender mainstreaming in and gender responsiveness of DepEd structures, policies, programs, and projects. Let's now proceed to inclusive education. Research questions will seek to answer the perception and readiness of the department in providing an inclusive learning environment. So if you are interested about inclusive education, you can also make an action research about this. Okay, for the research dissemination, one way to effectively inform policymaking is to advocate the use of research evidence in crafting policies and programs. That is from Philippine Institute of Development Studies. So for the research dissemination, towards a culture of research, we encourage everyone to share their research results, and provide venues for research dissemination, such as policy forums, research conferences, research bulletins, research journals, and policy briefs. So remember that research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose, according to Zora Neale Hurston. And what we find changes who we become, Peter Morville. So keep calm and enjoy your research. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to click subscribe my YouTube channel. So again, don't forget to click subscribe my YouTube channel. So thank you for the slides from the Deep Ed. And of course, all the teachers in the Philippines, thank you for watching, especially in the Zamboanga Sibugay Division.